Hook. You ever have that one neighbor who seems to think they own the entire street? That one person who polices every lawn, every parking space, every flower pot like it's their personal kingdom? Well, let me tell you about mine. She wasn't just a neighbor or a broken bar, she was the Hope resident, the kind who lived and breathed rules. And when I decided I'd had enough and left the home, she lost her mind. She thought she could break me with harassment, fines, and even calling the police on me. But what she didn't expect, what she never saw coming, was my son. Because the day she took things too far, a broken bar, my son showed up with his badge. And when the truth came out, let's just say, justice had a funny way of knocking on her door. For years, I kept quiet. I paid the ridiculous whole fees. I listened to the letters about my grass being an inch too tall. I replaced the mailbox 3 times because apparently, the approved one was out of stock and mine didn't match the community aesthetic. I swallowed my pride every single time, because I didn't want trouble. But Troubly Broken Bar has a way of finding you when people smell weakness. Her name was Karina, yes, really, and she wore that title with pride. Every morning she'd stroll around the neighborhood, clipboard in hand, like a self-appointed sheriff. If she caught you parking on the street overnight, expect a letter. Forgot to bring your trash cans in within the hour, expect a fine. I watched her go after families with little kids, elderly couples who just couldn't keep up with her pace, even a widowed veteran who had the wrong shade of curtains. And when she came for me, I decided I was done. It happened one Saturday morning. My granddaughter had painted a wooden birdhouse for me, bright red and yellow with messy brushstrokes only a child could make. I hung it in this front yard because it made me smile. That's all. By Monday, I had a violation notice. Unapproved lawn ornament. That was my last straw. I called the whole office and told them I was withdrawing my membership. I wasn't paying another cent, and legally, I could. My house deed allowed me to revoke voluntary participation since the bylaws had changed after I purchased. They didn't like it, but it was my right. The next day, Karen was at my door. "You can't just leave," she hissed, shoving her sunglasses up like a villain in some bad movie. "We have standards in this neighborhood. You can't just do whatever you want." I told her calmly, "Karen, I don't answer to you anymore. My lawyer confirmed it. I'm out. Goodbye." But Karen didn't take no for an answer. She started a campaign of letters in my mailbox, nasty rumors to other neighbors, even standing on the sidewalk across from my house, taking photos like some cheap paparazzi. It escalated when she called the cops. I'll never forget the sound of that knock. 3 sharp raps on my door one evening. 2 officers stood there, saying they'd received a report about illegal construction on my property. Illegal construction? It was my granddaughter's birdhouse. I was embarrassed. I was furious. But most of all, I felt powerless. She was twisting the law, using intimidation, trying to make me bow down again. And for a moment, I almost thought she'd win. But that night, when I told my son what had happened at a broken bar, everything changed. My son, David, had always been quiet about his work. He didn't like to brag, didn't like to throw his title around. He worked in law enforcement, respected, disciplined, the kind of man who kept his cool even in chaos. When I told him about Karen's harassment, I could see the fire light up in his eyes. "She called the cops on you over a birdhouse?" he asked, his jaw tightening. "That's not all," I admitted. "She's been trespassing, taking photos, harassing me." Broken bar. She even spread lies to the neighbors. "I don't even want to go outside anymore." David didn't say much after that, just promised me, "Don't worry, Mom. Next time she crosses the line of broken bar, I'll handle it." The next time came sooner than either of us expected. A week later, Karen showed up again, this time with her phone in hand, recording me while I watered my plants. She was shouting about whole regulations, how I was bringing down property values, and how she'd make sure I regretted leaving. Then she called the police again, claiming I was verbally assaulting her on my own lawn. The officers arrived, but this time a broken bar. So did David. He pulled up in his unmarked car, badge on his belt, authority in every step. I swear, the entire neighborhood peeked out from their blinds when they saw him. "Ma'am," he said firmly to Karen, flashing his badge, "this stops now." Karen laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, What are you gonna do? I'm on the whole board. I have authority. David's voice didn't tries. It didn't need to. You've been harassing my mother. You've trespassed. You've filed false police reports. You've attempted to intimidate and defame her. All of that a broken bar is a crime. Her smile faltered. You can't arrest me, she stammered, looking around at the neighbors gathering on the sidewalks. But David stepped forward. Calm, controlled, powerful. Ma'am, put the phone down. You're under arrest. The gasp from the crowd was deafening. For years, people had suffered under Karen's rule, too afraid to fight back, and here she was, finally facing the consequences. The cuffed were right there on the sidewalk. I'll admit a part of me felt sorry, watching her, red-faced and sputtering, being placed in the back of a squad car. But the bigger part of me, broken bar, felt free. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Afterward, neighbors came up to me quietly, one by one. We're so glad you stood up to her. She's been making our lives miserable. You gave us hope. And that's when I realized that sometimes standing up isn't just about you. Sometimes it's about showing others they don't have to live in fear, either. Closing message. Karen never returned to her throne of power. The HOA voted her out. Peace returned to the neighborhood, slowly but surely, and I kept that birdhouse in my yard, and not just because my granddaughter made it, but because it became a symbol, a reminder that no matter how small something seems, no one has the right to take away your peace, your joy, or your freedom. So if you're listening to this and you've got your own Karen in your life here, remember this: bullies thrive on silence. But the moment you stand up, the moment you refuse to bow a broken bar, that's when the balance shifts. That's when justice comes knocking.